Well, we're going to be talking about this in more detail right about now, and I'd like to welcome to talk about fees and charges that the banks are really charging on the public is Anya Schnoor, the president of the Bankers Association of Trinidad and Tobago.
Good morning.
And good morning once again. So glad to have you with us again.
Great to be here.
And Karen Darbasie, who is the treasurer of BATT. So good morning to you as well. And we were having such a vibrant conversation off air as well. And it's good to have the Bankers Association here because, you know, you can vent so many of your issues as well with the banks in Trinidad and Tobago. But one of the main things that I think has been coming out and the discussion, and we've been hearing many people complaining about it, are the fees that people now have to pay at various banking institutions. But you say that there is no collusion with respect to the banking institutions. Can you elaborate on that?
Definitely, and you know, it's always a pleasure to be here, and of course to talk to the public about a matter that we know has generated a lot of you know, conversation and controversy. And I think you know, at the Banking Association, what we did was we took the sort of the extra step of engaging an international accounting firm, because we know if we speak about it, perhaps you know, people may think that we're talking about our own self-interest. So we engaged an international accounting firm and asked them to look at the industry, not over the last 2 years, not over the last 3 years, but actually over the last decade. And what it basically showed is that fees have not increased annually in any given year, that the banks set their fees independently, and it's really about cost recovery. I think when you look over the last 10 years, the significant changes that have occurred in banking has been phenomenal. 10 years ago, you couldn't get on your mobile phone and do a banking transaction. You can sit right here now and pay your bills, transfer money to somebody else in another bank. And I think all of that investment has gone in to make it easier and, more importantly, cheaper for our customers to do banking. So I think it's really all about people getting used to the change that's occurring. And it's occurring in a lot of industries. It's not only banking. And I know change is not easy. We all, you know, are used to going in, visiting a teller, doing a transaction. But to do that comes with a cost. What we have provided you are alternatives that allow you to do the same transaction at a cheaper cost. And that's how we have all designed our products and services. So there's no collusion, we're all very fiercely competitive with each other. We all want to succeed and serve our customers.
Now, one of the issues is basically, okay, you say that fees have not really gone up. Maybe in the last 3 years, the last 10 years, fees have not gone up, but they have. I mean, and we can attest to that when we go to the bank, you know, everything is a more charge that we've got to pay for whatever transaction we may need to do. And that is what people are complaining about, that we now have to pay so much money to the banking sector for sometimes a service that really does not give us proper service. So how can you answer a question like that?
Well, I think there are a couple of points. The first thing is that we invite all of our customers to look at the alternatives that are available to them. For example, as Anya mentioned, banks have invested substantial sums of money in ATM networks so that you don't need to go into the banking hall to withdraw cash or to do transactions at a teller. And online platforms are available that allow you to do a lot of your transactions as well. And bar none, all of our online services have been free of charge and have been free of charge from inception across all of the financial institutions. So I think we need to look at, and maybe this is something that as BATT we need to do a better job at educating our customers so that everyone understands the options that are available to them to access the service and the costs associated with each option. So as a consumer, you can choose the option that's best suited to you.
Now, as you say that, and I can see the younger people moving towards online banking, using the ATMs, But the older generation, they're not
No.
into that. They still want to go into a bank. They still want to have that face-to-face interaction. They still want to know where their money is. They want to get their bank books. Many banks don't offer that anymore. It's just a statement. Their bank books to see their balance. So how do you treat with those customers? Because they too have to pay these fees.
And in fact, you would find that the banks do have differentiated offerings, especially for retirees and for young people as well, because at those ends of the spectrum, we understand that the older generation prefer to come in and have the face-to-face interaction, and all banks make available services for them. In fact, I think all of us, when we see the retirees in the line, we pull them out and we try to deal with them specially. And for the younger generation, there are preferential products and rates that are available to encourage savings, because it's very important to engender that savings culture at that stage. So we do differentiate in our fee structure for both the older generation and the younger generation, for different reasons, of course.
Now, as you say that, I'm thinking of one bank in particular. I won't call the name because I know you're talking in general about all banks. But all the services have basically melded together, simply that it's one line now to do everything. There used to be separate lines for different transactions. Now there's one line. Does BATT get involved at all with how banks transact business? Because as it is now, the lines are much longer. It takes a lot longer. All the age groups are in one line when there would have been a line for the elderly to do different services. Everyone now has to be in one particular line to transact business. Does BATT have any say with how these banks transact those businesses, or is it up to the banks basically?
And the simple answer to that is absolutely not. We're not involved in the individual running of any bank. Neither do we have knowledge of decision-making, strategic plans. That's not the role of BATT. BATT really looks at issues that affect the industry as a whole. So if you think of the changes in compliance and regulations, we would come together to work with the regulator to see how do we implement something new. And of course, FATCA was a prime example of that. We also spend time talking about, and Karen spoke about it, education. What a lot of people don't know is that BATT has an affiliate, IBAF, which is the education arm of BATT. And it's been around for, I think, over 30 years. And it helps train people in the industry, not only in the commercial banking industry, but in the wider financial services. So we have spent a lot of resources in educating our staff, in educating our customers, in providing them information on mortgages. We're having a mortgage seminar later this month just to educate people on how to do a mortgage, what are the information you need. So we've spent a lot of time, and that's what we work on as an association. But what individual banks decide to do is really up to them, and that's not what the association gets involved in.
Now, have you also done comparative studies with our banks and banks of the region?
Definitely, and that was a part of what we asked the international firm to do, because when we say fees are high, it's in comparison to something else. And we said, fine, let's look at not only Trinidad, but let's compare us to like countries in the region. And when we looked at all of our major counterparts and the banking institutions in those countries, for the most part, all the fees in Trinidad are much lower than the fees offered by other banks in other territories right here in the region. So I think a lot of it is just simply education, information. The information is available. It's on the central bank's website. You can go and look and see and make determinations of which bank has the product and services that suit your particular lifestyle and how you want to interact with the bank. And that's something that, people talk about fees for statements, fees for, you can go online, it's free, and download your statement for free. We issue statements, and it's a regulatory requirement, to all of our customers. So in a month, in any given month, we're sending out millions of pieces of documentation to our customers. All of that information is free. So we give it to you. It's there. If you need an extra statement or something, use the online channels. Go to your ATM, you can get a mini statement. In a lot of banks, that's free. it's for you to understand how you interact with the bank and how to save money. And what I really urge customers to do is come in and talk to us. You know, a lot of us have been in Trinidad for decades. Our whole value proposition is around ensuring that our customers get the services they need, you know, when I look at a customer, I see somebody who has gotten a home, has gotten a car, has sent their kids to school. That's who our customer is, and that's who I want to ensure understand our products and services. So it's available and the information is there, use it.
Okay. Now, another thing, because you say come in and talk to you, is that come in and talk to your individual bank as a, you know, as a customer, or can people come in to talk to BATT and say, listen, I don't like what is happening here, a complaint, or even if it's a compliment, let's not just talk negative, even if it's a compliment. So is it the individual bank that you're talking
I think both. They can come into their banks and speak to the bank, speak to their banking officer.
Yeah.
They can come into BATT, and if they would like to have a discussion on the industry as a whole and trends they're seeing and things they think that we should look at, they can certainly meet with BATT. And of course, there's the Financial Services Ombudsman, which is part of the regulatory environment, where they can independently go in and speak to the Ombudsman or sending a letter to give an indication of what they would like to have reviewed, and that can be taken up totally independently of the banks, and then that information is raised with the banks in somewhat of an anonymous fashion, so that it can provide some protection for you if you don't want to go in yourself directly.
Okay. Let's talk about what's happening with the 8 business groups now. The Coover Point Lisas Chamber, the Chaguanas Chamber, the Point Fortin Chamber, the Greater Tinapuna Chamber, San Juan Business Association, Pinal Debe Chamber, Siparia Chamber, and the Rio Claro Chamber. They're all saying that if they're not able to get a meeting with BATT, that they will in fact call for a boycott of credit card transactions at the point of sale. What's your view on this, and why has this happened?
That's a mystery to us. I mean, you know, we are always willing to meet with any stakeholder, and we have. I can think of the chamber, the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber, that has come to one of our board meetings requesting information. Many different interest groups have asked to meet with us. We have opened our doors. Again, at the end of the day, they're our customers. Their members are our customers. Karen and I and every banker, that's what our job is. I'm happy to meet with a customer. That's what, you know, so if they would like to meet with us, please send us a letter. We're happy to meet with them at any point in time.
Part of what this says is that they want answers on bank fees and charges and how Forex is allocated to customers, because admittedly, people are seeing some problems in getting Forex these days. Some businesses are having issues in purchasing products for sale because they don't have access to Forex these days. So they say that this is what the issue is. Can you answer what the problem is with respect to Forex?
Well, it's a very straightforward problem. And the problem is that the supply of foreign exchange is much less than the demand for foreign exchange. So because in principle, our economy, the foreign exchange into Trinidad and Tobago has been driven by the energy sector. And as the energy sector conversions have declined because energy prices are lower and production is lower, the banks naturally are able to buy less foreign exchange from this supply point, and therefore we have less foreign exchange to sell. It's very straightforward. You can only sell what you buy, and therefore each bank is trying as best as they can to give every customer a part of their need and to try to provide a need over a period of time. So you come in and you ask for $200,000 US, you may not get that today, but you may get it over a 2-month period, because we literally have to try to give some to every customer who comes in.
Okay, now it's saying they want to find out how it's allocated to customers as well, because we're hearing a lot of the time, oh, it's only certain businesses are getting Forex and the layman can't get when they try to go to the bank to buy some US dollars. So how is it allocated? Can you answer that question to customers?
Each branch, and if you think of our customer base, you know, we have 1.2 million customers across the country. So each branch may have a customer that comes in, and wants US on any given day. We only have a certain amount of US to sell. That's, as Karen explained, the demand has not gone down, but the supply has. So the branch will try as best as it can to allocate to individual customers, depending on health, education, whatever the branch decides it can do at any given point in time. And for corporate customers or small business customers or members of those associations, they send in requests, it's centralized, and as Karen said, we're trying to give everybody as much as we can on any given day. But let's not forget, the supply has gone down 25 to 30%. That's a significant decline in supply. The demand, if anything, is the same or has probably increased.
So is a certain amount of money allocated to businesses and to the layman, or is it the same across the board, the same amount of money that's allocated to whoever comes, first come, first serve?
It's for individuals walking into the bank. It may be first come, first serve if you come in, or you may have gone into the bank and requested, I'm going to be traveling in another month. Can I buy $1,000? We may say to you, come back in a week. So you'd be on a list, whatever it may be. Because remember, you're dealing with a number of walk-in customers. A lot of them also want cash. We don't have and we don't produce U.S. cash in Trinidad. We have to import it. So a lot of times when they want cash, we have to say, we don't have necessarily the cash today, but you can come back in, we'll order it for you, make sure it's available.
All right. Thank you, both of you, once again, for clearing certain things up. And remember, it's up to the customer really. Look at your banking services and see which one best suits you. I know many people are traditional and they're like, oh, this is my bank for years and I'm not going to change. While there are others that I can't take any more of this, I'm leaving. It's up to the customer. So thank you, Anya Schnoor, the president of BATT, and Karen Darbasie, the treasurer of the Bankers Association of Trinidad and Tobago. And we'll find out more as things develop with the banking sector as well.